Unfortunately, some members of the media
use their platforms
to push their own personal bias.
and agenda to control exactly what people think. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This week has been good bipartisan cooperation and a string of
Introduce into the record page 55 from the committee's interview with FBI employees. Just have some administrative matters first. I wanted to introduce into the record page 55 from the committee's interview with FBI employee Roya Demlow, who I wanted to introduce into the record page 55 from the committee's interview with page 55 from the committee's interview which took place on July 17, 2023. In that we're to leave this interview and we're to suggest or imply that when you said the laptop was real, that it meant that the FBI had affirmatively determined in October 2020 that the laptop belonged to Hunter Biden. We're to leave this interview and we're to suggest or imply that when you said the laptop was real, that it meant that the FBI had affirmatively determined in October 2020 that the laptop belonged to Hunter Biden.
Here's a question. Would you let someone implant a microchip into your hand if you would receive $2,000 a month in return for getting a chip put in your hand? You heard me right. We'll give you universal basic income, basically. 2,000 euros, $2,000 a month if you allow us to put a microchip in your hand. That's exactly what's about to happen as part of the rollout of the central bank digital currencies. That's a carrot for them to rope you into this mess. We'll get to that part of the story in a minute. The chip implantation process, not the corn chip, as Dan said in our chat, but a actual metallic tracking chip. But a new report just published this week by the Bank for International Settlements explains how our new digital money system is about to work. We've been warning you that this was coming for a long time on this show. Also, we weren't the only ones predicting this. It was predicted in a little book, you might have heard of it, called The Bible, The Mark of the Beast. For one thing, this is how this new system would operate. According to them, the Bank for International Settlements, the new reserve currency, forget the dollar as you know it, basically. This will be the new reserve currency, which is how they want to label it and how they are labeling it. This would be used to settle all transactions. As everyone moves away from the US dollar right now, this seems like perfect timing to be moving to this new system. So are they purposefully torpedoing the US dollar in preparation for a global new reserve currency? One might wonder, right? We don't believe in conspiracy theories around here, but you have to wonder. It could include the confiscation of all property, physical property.
On one hand, great convenience. You don't have to bring your wallet. Sure. Now in the future, you won't have to bring your ID because they're going to be the arbiters of who's who in the world. So if you want to board an airplane, you just scan the palm of your hand, and allegedly Amazon One then would tell the airline, okay, let Steve on board. Should they really be doing that is some questions that I have. But to get into this also, it's kind of interesting how this works. So later this year, by the end of the year, you'll see it at 500 Whole Foods stores. You've already got airlines testing it out. You've got concert venues testing this out. The technology's good. I mean, it works. But at the same time, it's kind of creepy. So you put your hand up, and it's not just reading the palm of your hand on the surface. It actually is using near-infrared light and looking through your hand and mapping the veins and arteries in your hand because they're unique.
Sure.
Then they store that information and keep that, and then that's what gets shared when you go to validate who you are, to prove your identity, to prove how old you are, to prove you have a credit card associated with it, etc.
Indeed, and I saw your eyebrow go up when it's like,
we are living in a tyrannical situation where there's only 2 clicks left when you are required to have digital ID to move around and have a life, and when cashless central bank digital currencies are the only way you can buy and sell. At that point, you've lost your freedom. If you follow the breadcrumbs to 2030, anyone can look up the UN 2030 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. By 2030, Britain specifically will have no commercial passenger aircraft leaving the country. You will not be able to leave. There will be no ships leaving the country. You will not own private transport. You will have a digital ID to do everything, and you will only have electronic money with which to transact. I would say at that point you are a slave, and because you can see them coming, you should say no. Say no right now. Stop. The things that are happening are really fantastic, but they go back decades. There's no question that there's been a very long run-up to the level of control that we are going to face if we allow cash to be winked out of existence.